Coach Perno, I'll start with you this next general question. Is there obviously the first game, that's the next game, that's the one you're focused on, but in the course of your schedule, is there a game you're looking forward to, maybe for a reason outside of X's and O's? You're taking on a great friend as the head coach, it's a great atmosphere. Is there something like that that you're looking forward to this season?
Well, I mean, yeah, I look forward to all of them because, you know, there's challenges going into all of them. And so, you know, I've never been one to coming with a baseball background, you can't put more emphasis on one. You can't. Your players feel it, your players see it, and it just doesn't create the environment you want to coach it. So I just think you take them one at a time, and you know, we open up, obviously, our scrimmage with TL Hanna on a Wednesday night. That's going to be a great challenge for our kids, but then, you know, Coach Dudley is at Winder now, and he coached me back in the day. So I'm obviously looking forward to that one, and then you just go down the line. And like I alluded to earlier, if I put more emphasis on one game more than another, with the schedule we play, we're going to have a tough time. So they're all important for us.
Coach Aurandt, how about you?
I think, obviously outside of our region schedule, the front end of our schedule has changed a little bit. So just the excitement of playing somebody different that we don't know, and the chase of the preparation of getting ready for an opponent that you may not have seen. I don't think any of the kids have played a lot of the teams that we're playing this year. You know, it's still going to be a task to get ready to go, but I think just that chase of trying to get ready and go out there and put the best product on the field every Friday night, get yourself in position to play deep into November, I think that's what's fun about the season.
Coach Vandagriff, obviously you've already mentioned you're looking forward to not having to call every single play every single time. What else are you looking forward to with the schedule?
Well, with it being the New Year's cycle, you know, where you have new games and you drop your non-regions, we also subdivided. So what it created where we're going to pick up now 3 non-regions, and then we have a crossover game. So basically, you know, you sort of start playoffs the last week of the season as you cross over. So all that being a little bit different, our 3 non-regions, because, you know, when you've had a good year, nobody wants to play you. So you have to go pick up teams you don't want to play typically because they're playoff teams, you know, and you don't want to play necessarily everybody's a playoff team. So our first 3 games are playoff teams, and that went to the second round. So out the gate, you know, it's going to be challenging. And, you know, we're trying to find out if a young line can grow up quickly. So it'll have its own bit of challenges. Being against single A, you know, you're playing a point system. So every game factors in, not just non-region or region, it all factors into where you qualify to not face ELCA. And so then you have all the team in your sub-region to where, you know, they're all in our backyard. So our sub-regions, ACAD, ACS, and George Walton. So, you know, it's all of our hometown people that, you know, we all love to hate each other, I guess, you know, Friday nights. But it creates good football and good atmosphere, so that's what it's all about.
Coach Small, you already mentioned, hey, you want to finish a game, you want to finish the season, so I totally get that. Is it the first time you get on the field for that first game, or what else are you looking forward to?
We're looking forward to we got a scrimmage in Loganville coming up, against Loganville Christian and a couple other schools. But just getting on the field and having our guys get their first win be great. Also, we play a team for the Catholic Cup, and our school really wanted to get that win also. So just getting a win would be great for us.
Well said. I'd like to give some folks an opportunity to ask a question if they'd like. I don't want to be the only one asking all these hard questions up here, but does anybody want to ask a question of these wonderful coaches? Anyone? Everybody's shy today? John, I know you want to ask a question, but that's not fair because your coach is up there. So, all right, I'll move on. But if anybody has a question they want to ask, please raise your hand and we'll do that. Let's go with talk about your players, whether the ones you brought here or any specific players. Coach Vandagriff, why don't we start with you and go down the line? Do you want to highlight some
Sure.
players you want to highlight this year?
We have, again, all our wide receivers that are back that play a significant role, as well as DBs, because, you know, single A just turn around and get on that side of the ball. But so the young man I brought tonight, today was Elijah Hines. He, if you know Chappie, you know, his son. So, you know, Elijah was our free safety last year. He had 107 tackles, was all region for us, does a great job on defense. He's sort of our quarterback in the backfield, and then is one of our starting receivers. Next to him is our starting point guard, Max Simmons, which again was all region last year. He had 49 catches, which was second on our team, with over 400 yards receiving, and also was a starting corner. So we expect great things from them. Also, we have the region player of the year back, which is Krisha Parish, and you know, Christian was an all-state player for us, just a dynamic. He typically was about the best player on the field, you know, arguably according to who else was on the field with him. But he had 62 catches for 1,350 and over 2,000 total yards, and is a starting corner as well. So again, if that quarterback we're talking about can find these three receivers and has time, you know, with this young line, it could be an interesting year, and we can have a lot of good things take place.
Too, because, you know, in some cases, nobody's good enough, that in our case, we had too many good players, which is a good thing. So, but I picked the two steadiest guys every day. They show, they're ready to go, on time, do what they're supposed to do all the time, on, off the field. But Quay Teasley, our middle linebacker, number 33, and Edwin Summerauer, corner, who came in last year. And, you know, I looked at the body, I was like, you know, this is 5A football, I don't know. But he's tough as nails. And so, you know, we kind of, Coach Jones and I discussed it, talked about it. We told our other seniors, because we got 25, 26 seniors right now, and probably about 18 of them are really good players. So it was tough, but no question, I'm happy to have those two here today.
We brought J.T. Dukes, number 8, plays linebacker, and Caleb Jones, number 67, plays offensive tackle. They're both 3-year starters in our program. Both of them are key leaders for our team. When you look at our culture and you paint an image, both of them fit that image. They're just like what both of these guys have said up here. You know, they're everything that you want in your players. They're on time, they work hard, they lead, they're not afraid to hold people accountable. You know, so they played a lot of snaps for us. They're fortunate enough where they have been healthy for 3 years. You know, we're looking for big things from both of them this season. You know, and then from a quarterback standpoint, because that's the question I keep getting, Caleb Shearer, who spent split time with another senior last year, will be the starting quarterback, and he's had a tremendous offseason. He's got the pedigree. He comes from a good football background, but more excited for his twin brother Kyle, who will play wideout for us, who was hurt all last year. So those two kids are another two that very easily could have been sitting in those chairs that do everything that you ask them to do, and they'll both be seniors as well. But our senior class, much like both of these guys, it's just strong, good kids that do what you ask to do, and it's tough to make those decisions on who gets to come, but you know, just from their background and what they've been through to help get this program to where it is, that's why they're both sitting here today.
My deal is a little easier. I got Ashton Bryant, who'll be our quarterback sitting here. He was the only guy that finished the whole year last year. Came to 5 o'clock workouts during the spring. Kid gonna have to play quarterback for us, cornerback, safety, punt return, kick return. He'll be getting a lot of film this year. Also, we have B.J. Tarkins, who came to our 5 o'clock workouts. Been there for the spring. These two guys are good students, and also they follow directions. They're what we want to do. They're what we are. When we talk about building the program and changing the culture at Monsignor Donovan. And BJ will play some tight end, defensive end, linebacker, and might have to carry the water sometimes when we need him to. But we love both of those guys.
Thanks, coaches. Real quick, you know, the lifeblood of your programs going forward are the kids that are coming up, the ones who will fill in your freshman classes and going forward. So the middle schools or youth football is important to you, and how do you, and I'll start with you, Coach Vandagriff, and we'll go down the line again. How do you assess the young ones that are coming up, knowing that they may or may not, you know, of course, come to your school? How do you assess that and sort of network within that to understand who's going to be coming into your program in future years?
You know, being a private school, you sort of have everybody inside your house, so it's a little bit easier than the challenges these other guys have. So, you know, we see our 7th grade, 8th grade, that kind of deal. So you're always trying to develop a relationship. So that way when the kid, you know, if he considers leaving, then, you know, there's some emotional tie there to where it's not just like a business decision. I'm going to school X, Y, or Z because of whatever reason. But so, anyway, you know, we have them run a watered down version of our offense and defense and let them go ahead and start learning the terminology, because football terminology, you know, for parents or somebody that's never been in football, it's like learning a different language. You know, it's like learning Spanish or French or something for the first time. So the first time you say go to the flats, you know, they have no idea what you're talking about. You know, so we try just to teach them the terminology and those kind of things. So there's some irony to you asking this question, as we have a 3rd, 4th grade program, a 5th, 6th grade program, a 7th, 8th grade program. So all of our numbers for those are in the high 20s. So, you know, we look at it statistically, we want 12 kids per class in single A. So that gives us 48 kids. So we're always trying to push to 12 kids per class. You know, we wish we had 26 or something, but again, we don't have 5A numbers. So it's a numbers game and a game of attrition. So again, we're constant. That's the lifeline of our program, is the youth program. So we always have to keep our eyes on it and encourage kids to come out, because in single A and against small schools, you grow linemen in the weight room, and then the athletes hopefully show up.
Coach Perno, same question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with our coaches, and Coach Ward is very good about making sure from that C team level that we have quality coaches, and I think we've got as good a staff as you could have, and most of them are former gladiators. So they have an idea of the concept, they have an idea of the tradition, and yes, we are constantly in communication, but the other part of it is our guys all the way down to that level, because we don't have the built-in advantages of going K through 12. So you got to be present at the youth games, which we do a great job. Our staff's there on, you know, as many youth games as we can go to, and then obviously we're always present for our C team and junior varsity games.
Coach Aurandt?
This is something that we spend a lot of time on, is developing a relationship and an open line of communication with our youth coaches, to where they can come anytime they want and ask questions. You know, we're trying to get it set up where a lot of them are practicing close to our school, so that we can get over there after our practice just to see those kids. But we spend a lot of time in our middle school just trying to develop relationships, because I think now it's a lot easier for a kid to just opt not to play football. But if you've got a relationship with them, there's a little bit more pressure there to stay out and to continue to play. So we've spent a majority of our off season, you know, finding ways to get over to our middle school or meet with our youth coaches to create those relationships, so that they feel some pressure to continue to be a part of it. And it's just not one of those things where, hey, it's too hard, I'd rather just sit at home and play video games. Because I think that right now we're in that day and age where it's too easy for kids to go and do that. So, you know, the relationship piece is the piece that we've spent the most time on.
Coach Small, I know this is a unique question for you, so I'm still very interested in your perspective, being that it is unique for you.
Yeah, we're just 9 through 12. We don't have a junior varsity or a C team or a B team. We're just varsity. But we've been blessed to have one of the youth program practice on our field, so we'll be visiting their games. Well, as soon as we come off the field, they'll probably be going on the field, and on Saturdays we'll be out there. And so we got to work hard on Saturdays, and whatever we got to do, our staff we've been talking about that, about going and making those connections with those youth coaches and also those parents in the elementary and middle school level. We also got one of our schools that that feeds us sometimes is St. Joe's. So I've been over there. They do have flag football, and we're going to build those relationships with those parents and those teachers and also those students.
Great. Coach Aurandt, let me start with you with this next question. I'm going to go to the other end of the spectrum. You have been around or have had college coaches recruit players at your school. So can you talk about the balance of that? They come and visit, they call, they text, they email, and obviously, how do you keep your players focused? Because there's that next step that's obviously very exciting, and you obviously want that. So how do you balance all of that, and do you have any unique ways that you deal with that? Because obviously you're trying to keep relationships with those coaches too.
That's probably one of the toughest things, because some of those guys will just show up, and a lot of them will schedule it, but they'll just show up, and you may be right in the middle of watching practice film, so you got to drop everything you're doing because you want to honor that relationship, because you don't want to ruin an opportunity because of something you may have done while a coach is in your building, or not showing them enough attention. But I think from a player standpoint, it's easy. You got to put a good product out there on Friday night. I mean, it's their game film, and you talk to these college coaches, and they're not all hyped up on all these camps that all these kids are trying to go to. They want good high school film to evaluate. So we tell our guys all the time, you know, what you do on a Friday night is going to hold more weight than anything else you could do. So they know that, and we challenge them in the weight room to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing so that they have those opportunities when they present themselves.
Coach Perno, same question.
Yeah, the pop-ins are difficult when they just show up, because you do have to drop everything, and that's why it's so important to have a great staff, because, you know, Coach Jones can take it over, and he knows what they're looking for. He played college football, so it helps from that standpoint. The good thing about it, it's, you know, this time of year it slows down because they're worried about their season, and that's what's important to us. So anything that happens in the spring or leading into the summer months is just great for our program, great for our kids, and we make sure we cater to as many colleges as we can.
Coach Vandagriff?
This has been an interesting situation myself, because I've done it as a coach, but I've never done it as a father. So it's a whole nother ballgame as I'm learning it from a father with my son being recruited. So here's what I tell all of our players to begin with. If you think about recruiting like dating, you'll get a much better perspective of what it looks like. Meaning you want to date the 10, but she may not want to date you. And the 1 wants to date you, but you don't want to date her. Okay? So that's recruiting. Meaning everybody wants to go to Georgia, but Georgia doesn't want everybody. And nobody wants to go to Athens Tech, but Athens Tech wants everybody if they had football. Okay? So you know, during that process, you know, for a kid that wants to go to college and play college football, he has to identify who is his. Is she a 5? Is she a 6? A 7? An 8? Where do you fall in the spectrum of recruiting? You know, and so you wink at somebody, she winks back. You wink at somebody, they don't wink back. That's where you are. You know, sometimes too many kids chase, you know, Division I football when they can play 1AA or Division II and they still have scholarships. You know, so if you want to play college football, there's a level for everybody. Just sometimes you don't want to go to Berry and play, or you don't want to go to some really small school because you think you're better than that. You know, again, it's not what you think you are, it's what they think you are. It's like dating. You think you're a 10, they think you're a 6. All right, then you're a 6. All right, and that's where the role of the coach is. We want every kid to go. We want every kid to have the opportunity to fulfill his dream. We can't control the scholarships. So all we can do is put you out and what you've done and your tape and the best product you bring. So there are stats out there. If you have a 4.0, it opens up every school to you. If you have a 2.5, it opens up very few schools to you. So the better product you bring as a kid, and your ACT score and your SAT score, the better chance he's got to get you a girlfriend. Okay? And the harder you work in the weight room, and you know, the better you are in the classroom, because they want this whole product. Because all of a sudden now, I had somebody come up to me the other day and said they had asked our AD how my son is Another coach asked our AD how my son is. So it gave me an opportunity to say, Brock, everybody asks about you, not just your coach. So, see, everybody's constantly watching you. So you need to understand, you know, this is more than just, I want a scholarship. It's an investment for them of $150,000 or $250,000. So see, if there's a little more to it than I want to play college football. There's part of your responsibility as an athlete, our responsibility as a coach, and then their responsibility to recruit you.
Coach Mull, I imagine you agree with a lot of that.
I do, being on the other end of that thing before, being at a university level and the community college level for a long time, it is dating. It is dating. But we stopped practice. Well, we didn't stop practice. We didn't even have practice Monday because we went down the list of all the NAIA schools in the nation. And it's what I specialize in. Is I can get your kid in school. I can get our guys in school. So the D1 levels and the D1 AA levels, it's a couple buddies that owe me some favors. So and sometimes it's not about the best guy. And I'm telling our guys to clean up their social media. That plays a big part in it. You definitely got to have the grades. You know, to go D1 or D1 AA or D2. And but I know places that want kids, and being from, they got the Athens, Georgia tag on them also. That's going to help them. And they got to be willing to move around. We've been talking to our kids about, we'll stop practice in the middle of practice. We'll stop practice and talk about college. We've stopped practice week before last, and then call a couple of my buddies that coach on the college level and let our guys talk to them so they can understand how to talk to them, what they're looking for, and so they just won't hear from me. But our guys know that they got opportunities on the West Coast, Midwest, Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech. These guys are waiting to see what they're going to do. We call our coaching staff the excuse eliminators. We're going to eliminate all the excuses. It's going to be on our guys whether they get in or not, and how far and how big they go. Because it's not going to be on us because we got the connections, we got all they need to be successful. But our guys going to go to college somewhere.
Good deal. I'd like to start with you, Coach Perno, with this general question. What would you change about the game today if you had a chance?
I don't know. I think it's Georgia's high school kind of is ahead of the curve. Obviously, there's some things that I would do different. I think the additions of these padded camps have been huge help. I think that's where I think the 7-on-7s and that stuff, I think that's more closer to flag football than it is real football. And so I think the padded camps are a huge addition, and I think Georgia is ahead of the curve, and I think we're fortunate to be in a great state where there's great football.
Coach Mull, how about you?
If I could change anything about the game is, like Coach Perno said about the emphasis on the 7-on-7, because when he put those pads on, I mean, it's a different world. But that's about the only thing, because the game of football changed my life, and it's the reason why I'm sitting here. So I love the game of football. I'm addicted to the game of football. But that 7-on-7 kind of, my guys ask me, can we go to 7-on-7? I'm like, and that's like football, man. So, but I wouldn't change nothing about the game, but just 7-on-7.
Coach Aurandt?
I think one thing that we talk about as a staff is the acclimation period, which began today. It's 5 days in helmets, and then you jump straight into full pads. And I think it'd be worth the conversation to say, you know, you got 3 days in helmets and then 2 days in shells, and then you go to full pads, because that's a pretty hard transition. But you're going straight to helmets, and then all of a sudden you're right into going full live tackle on day one. And that's a lot on some of their bodies. So, you know, I know at the collegiate level, you know, there's kind of a step, you know, the process of your helmets and then your shells and then your full. I think that would be something that would be fairly easy to change, but I think that's something that we talk about that would help the teaching process with our kids more.
Coach Vandagriff?
I have a strong opinion on the padded camps, and it's not to disagree with Coach. I just have a different opinion. You know, I understand why we have the padded camps, but I don't necessarily agree with why we had the padded camps, because our kids are starting to hit, August 1st, and we're going, and hopefully you're playing till December. Okay, so that's 5 strong months. You're going to start hitting in June. So I don't need my kids to peak in June to play August the 17th. I don't need 2 months of hitting to be ready for August the 17th personally, because I want my kids to peak in October, because I want them to play in December. And then to get back to the philosophy of the acclimation, it doesn't make sense, because we could be in padded camp. You could have a padded camp yesterday and Monday and Tuesday, but you're in full pads, except for basically maybe knee pads. Okay, you're in full pads, you're staying up high, but yeah, you got to put a helmet on today. Okay, that's insane. We have padded camps all last week, and then we'll come back to put helmets on. Okay, what are we acclimating? Because they've been in pads and helmets all year. All right, so that part doesn't make sense. But I do like the progression, like Coach is talking about. That makes more sense. But again, we are dominating here in the state. And the state of Georgia arguably is a top 4 in producing Division I athletes in the country. So we're doing something right in the state when it comes to athletics and football. But I think in single A, it's not even reality to go to the padded camps. I mean, because Coach runs fresh 11 on offense and a fresh 11 on defense. We turn around. You know what I'm saying? Our 11 guys just turn back around. So for us, we can't even go to the padded camps. I'm sure Bonton hadn't even thought about it. They're wanting to know what is a padded camp. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it.
Last question in general for you gentlemen. Coach Small, I'll start with you. What's your favorite part of coaching?
College placement.
And why?
Because it changes people's lives, it changes their households, and they become men, and they become good husbands, and they become people that can take care of themselves and be vital in their communities.
Coach Aurandt?
I would say the relationship that you get to have with those kids, because this is a point in their life where you got a chance to really mold them through your relationship with them.
Coach Perno?
The team concept, bringing everybody together, being on the same page, working for the same cause, and seeing guys go to have opportunity when things come together, the relationships that you're able to build with these young men, and have the opportunity to see guys go to Stanford to play football, go to a junior college, go all over the map, and create those opportunities for them, all through a team, all through Clarke Central football family. And I think that's the one thing I missed when I was out of coaching for a couple of years.
Personally, I became a high school coach because I'm a high school coach. I grew up without a father in the household, so my high school coach sort of stepped in as that role, just not adding the role in my house, but just the role as a human being. And I saw just, how he motivated myself to become something more than I wanted to be, and then how the importance of an education changes your life, and changes your household, and gets you out of a bad situation to where you can become anything you want to be with a direction of your own. I like the process of every season where you're taking young men, trying to mold them into a team to, reach a goal and become more than they believe they could become. I like the camaraderie. I like the fact that you have the opportunity to take clay that these young men are and mold them into something they didn't think they could do. And so it's just that whole thing that, that whole leadership deal, the whole process of allowing young men to understand before them lays the opportunity to become anything they want to become, if they have the drive and desire to get up out of bed every day and to go do something they never thought they could do.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. How about a round of applause for our first panel? Very best of luck to you and your coaches and your players for this upcoming season. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and the next panel will be up here in about 5 minutes.